Hi, Nick Young, Trailer Homes. Today I'm excited to be talking about GROW deals. So GROW deals, or GROW, is an acronym for Guaranteed Runoff. Before I get to what a GROW deal is, I'll just backtrack a little bit and just tell you a little bit about the two elements that make up the pricing when I purchase your trail book. One is the price I pay, determined by the level of runoff I expect to see from the book I purchase from you. Over the years, we've been tracking all of the books we've been purchasing and the particular types of loans, and we've been determining the average level of runoff associated with a book and used to determine the price. Over the years, though, brokers have been saying to me, well, that's fine, Nick, but my book, trust me, won't run off as quickly as else's or the averages, so you should pay me a bit more. Now, the catch is they may well be right, but from my viewpoint, there's no way I can work it out or prove it, so we end up going back to the averages. That potentially represents a lost opportunity for you, the selling broker, but also potentially for me as the buyer. So a couple of months ago, I had a brainwave. What about if the broker was willing to guarantee for an agreed period of time the rate of runoff? If they're willing to do that, I can pay them a higher multiple. If you're willing to guarantee that there will be 0% runoff for the first 2 years of the deal, then I'm willing to pay you up to 3 times the annualised trail income. Given that there's going to be more administration associated with administering the guarantee, it means that I really can't do this on small transactions. So we really look for a minimum purchase of $10,000 a month in trail. We've got a little bit of flexibility around that, but as a guide, we're looking for a minimum of $10,000. So we also don't buy your whole book. Typically, we only look to buy about half your book, but again, we've got a bit of discretion around that. But let's just say we're buying a book that's generating $10,000 a month in trail. We will pay you up to $360,000 upfront, assuming that you're willing to guarantee there will be 0 runoff over the first 2 years. Of course, there's going to be runoff. We expect you and require you actually to continue to service your clients, and we expect through that process that you will be refinancing them. And of course, the loans themselves will be naturally repaid, so they will run off. What we're looking for you to do to actually replace those loans that run off with new loans or additional loans, or more importantly, trail. We have you assign an extra what we call buffer book to compensate for that runoff that actually will occur. Give me a call and I'll run through the details of how that buffer book works. So, $360,000 up front. You guarantee there will be no runoff for the first 2 years. And after that, we go our separate ways and normal runoff takes over. 3 times is an interesting number because 3 times is also the multiple which the average mortgage broking business in this country sells for. So let's run through a hypothetical example. I'm a broker. I've got a book generating $10,000 a month in trail. I look down the road and there's another mortgage broking business run by Mary. I know Mary's looking to sell. She also gets about $10,000 a month in trail, and I know she's looking to sell for 3 times. I'd buy Mary's business. I fund the transaction of $360,000 that Mary wants by using a GROW deal from Trailer Homes. There's no bank loans. I don't have to provide any financials. All quick and easy. So, Mary's business, effectively what's going to happen is we're going to sell her trails to Trailer Homes, and I'm going to guarantee that there's going to be no runoff over the first 2 years. Conversely, I could sell my trails and keep Mary's trails. From my point of view, it still leaves you with $10,000 a month in trail, which is what you had before you started this transaction. We expect you to service Mary's clients and your own clients, but your own clients, that's going to happen anyhow, as per normal. Mary's business, if it was generating about $10,000 a month in trail, I'd expect it also to be generating about $1.5 million a month in settlements, or about $10,000 a month in upfronts as well as trails. You'll get to keep those upfronts. If you can't grow Mary's business and it just stays as a mature business, we'd expect what will happen is that the loans that you're refinancing out of Mary's business will be used to compensate the loans we'll be losing for that first 2 years, because they're the ones you're refinancing from Mary's book that she sold to us. So it means that during the first 2 years, you'll get the upfronts off your own business, the trails off your own business, but you will also now get the upfronts off Mary's business, The trails off Mary's business, effectively they will be used to compensate for the guarantee you gave to Trail Homes to make the initial acquisition. So you've actually used Mary's trail book to purchase Mary's business. You haven't put any money on the table. End of 2 years, as I say, the guarantee lifts and you'll not only get the upfronts from your business, the trails from your business, the upfronts from Mary's business, but you'll also now start getting the trails from the loans that you're writing out of Mary's business. Obviously by this stage we'd expect it all to be one, but that's another story. If you can grow Mary's business so it's settling more than $1.5 million a month, you'll start to enjoy the trail income from Mary's business much earlier. On the flip side, if Mary's business doesn't do as well under your care and it falls away and it's only settling now $1 million a month, it still actually is earnings positive for you and it still may end up being still a very good deal for you. But it means that potentially for that first 2 years, you're going to have to actually dip into your own trail book to effectively compensate for the loans that you're losing out of Mary's business. If you want to pay more for Mary's business, 3.5 times, 3.2 times, whatever, you can use some of your book to effectively sell that as part of a grow deal or just sell it as a normal deal to Trail Homes to pay for the acquisition or put some cash from other sources onto the table. Alternatively, if you are able to buy Mary's business for less than 3 times, you might be able to put some cash in your back pocket through the whole exercise. So very flexible. We can also be flexible with the actual multiple. It doesn't have to be 3 times and over 2 years. You might say, okay, I want to do a 10% runoff over 1 year. We can move the slide rule around and make the numbers work for you to get the sort of result that you're looking for. So give me a call. It's very innovative. It is complicated and it's probably best explained and don't hesitate to ring. I'm always here. Bye for now.